Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings, and welcome back to Cornwall. We're back here on the Lizard. I've done a couple of videos from the Lizard before. This time we're on the eastern section of the Lizard. We're just outside of the village of St Keverne. I say just outside. It was quite an ordeal to get here. I'm actually standing on Porthoustock beach, and St Keverne is currently closed because they've got a Memorial Day parade. Today is Remembrance Sunday. It's the day that we remember the fallen. We were listening, we pulled over and listened to the 11 o'clock 2-minute silence in the car on the way out. I'm here with my daughter. Very treacherous roads because I couldn't go in on the usual route because of that aforementioned closure in St Keverne, so it's been quite an interesting route. Anyway, we're here at Porthoustock to see what we can see of the remains of the 7 Keverne quarry mineral railways in this area, and just to enjoy the natural beauty of this stunning part of the Lizard, which is probably one of the most remotest parts of Cornwall. Now, Porthoustock beach and nearby Porthallow is littered with the remains of lots of former quarrying that took place in this area. There is still one quarry which only closed a few years ago, and that currently is undergoing or selling to see what they can use it for. I'm not sure because it's really remote and it's very difficult to get to this part of the Lizard by car. I've got a really small car. Even I found it tricky going around some of those bends on the very narrow, twisty and steep roads to get down here. But it's just terrific. You can just walk around here and see the remains and the industrial archaeology that's been dotted around this beach. Just having a look at something over here, looks like it's an old winding mechanism, very similar to what we saw the other day when I was in Charlestown. But this is a far more remote place here. In fact, it's only myself and my daughter and somebody repairing their boat on the beach that's here at the moment, here on the Lizard in Cornwall. So we've got some winding gear here. Now, just above where the winding mechanism is, something really interesting. It looks like it's a former canal. Not in the canal in the normal sense of the word that we've seen on the channel many times, of course, before with like narrowboats, that sort of thing. But it's a very straight section of navigation, and I'm just wondering if it was built to aid moving the stone from this area here to move it down to the beach where it could be loaded into ships. Now, we believe this here is something to do with the Second World War. It's like a bunker. It could have been used, of course, as a platform to put something on, but it doesn't. There's no bolts on the top of it, so I'm thinking World War II. Now, I was hoping to walk a little bit further across here, but unfortunately, the cliff has given way. There's a lot of erosion in this area, so I'll see if I can make my way around. That's our first rail coming out here. On the side there, I just moved that up there so you can see roughly where we are. There's the beach, obviously there to the right, and there's Porthoustock itself. And that's St Keverne quarry in there, but yeah, you certainly can't get in there. It's all barbed wire off. It'd be too dangerous anyway. You can see that a quarryman had a harbour wall built, especially for the purpose of loading and unloading the stone. And obviously the tyres there, thick tyres, were to prevent damage to that harbour wall when the ships were berthed alongside. Now, what's interesting about this cave, apart from the fact it's got very narrow aperture there, I'm not going to try and struggle my way through there, but I probably could if I had some older clothes on. But it's lit. The space behind the narrow gap is lit, and I think that's because there's probably a blowhole at the top, at the cliff, the very top. There's probably a small hole, and that would come up. The waves come right up here, which the tide does. You can see it. Very steeply shelved beach here too. You could smash in there and the waves would force their way up through to the top of the cliff. Now, sadly, I come a bit unstuck here. The rails at the top there, I can just make out bits of metal. I can also make out some bolts there. And the quarry is just inside the rock on the right. But this is my problem. In order to get up there, I need to climb up these rocks. Although they're not very steep, they are exceedingly slippery. And I just can't get any traction on there to get up there to have a closer look. And I don't want to risk breaking my leg or my camera or worse to get there just to get a bit of footage of some rails. So I'm afraid that's as close that I can get to the St Keverne quarry bit, but we're going to have a look, see what we can see at the other end of the beach. Now what we're hoping to do is to take a track which isn't marked as a public right of way, so we're not sure how far we're going to get. There's a quarry up there amongst that structure, it's the only way I can describe it, which juts out in above the beach here at Porthoustock, and you'll see some buildings, like a line of a building and one there, and then you can see some cottages over there. Well, there is a track that joins those. We're hoping to get along that track to make our way around to the beach at Porthallow. Well, we've now walked around to Porthcarris Cove. This place is so remote, it's not even on the southwest coast path. You have to walk along a private road to get here. If you come here using a car, you have to pay. But we've walked it all the way around the road because I think the path going directly to where we started our walk at Porthoustock is quite dangerous because of the form of quarrying. We're going to have a look around here first, see what is there. Looks like there's another military installation over there, see if we can get a little bit close to that, but I don't want to film too close to it for obvious reasons. We passed an MOD weather station on the way here too. But let's have a closer look at the beach here. Yeah, this is an old MOD observation point. I presume it links in with RNS Culdrose. Doesn't look like it's in use anymore. And yeah, the sign here actually says this site is scheduled for demolition at some point, but it doesn't look like it has been used. I'm not on Urbex, so I'm not about to go in it. Very dramatic looking, especially it's quite a windy day. It's a sunny day here in mid-November, but it's quite blowy. Probably always blowy here. Very remote part of the Lizard in Cornwall. Right, I'm just trying to make sense of what I'm looking at the moment. That's what I'm looking at here. I'm on a slope. It's like an incline. And I think what this was for was I was standing where there would have been tracks, railway tracks, at one time. There are evidence of rails down the bottom there, and I think this has been scraped. So the incline would have gone at a higher level where you can see those two concrete blocks. And there would have been a chute, so the trucks would have been pulled up this incline, and the contents of the stone would have been emptied into what was below, probably to take it on either to shipping or for road. I'm not too sure, but yeah, so this was part of the railway quarry here, just outside St Keverne on the Lizard. Now I'm not sure what goes on in that warehouse there, warehouse looking building, because it's new. No idea. We're going to have walk a bit further around there. I don't think you can walk on much further here. You can't walk all the way on to Porthallow from here, but we'll have a look and see anyway. This is probably the most remote location I've ever been to here on West Country Wanderings. There's just one gentleman over there fishing, and that's it. Nothing else at all. It's really, really a very bleak and dramatic landscape here on the Lizard. So you can see here, this is like the inclined plane bit, and they've like sliced off a top because it probably came unstable, and the bit they sliced off is down there. So if there were any rails left, they'd be underneath of that there, facing down towards the ground. So now we're looking at the top of the chute. Sorry about bad lighting, that's probably the wrong way around, isn't it? But you can get a sense of the height there, where that's where the trucks would have tipped the stone into what was there underneath. There, that gives you a better idea. So that's where I was just now, at the very top of that. And you can see the iron blocks here. But if you look around on the ground, you can make out some rails. Like here, for example. And I think that there is where the top of the structure has actually fallen off. Now it's now just lying facing the sea. And another piece of rail there. Now when I was doing the research for this video, I couldn't find any old photographs of this quarry with the railway in action back in the day. There doesn't seem to be any. There's quite a few other photographs that people have taken subsequently from the 1970s on it. I mean, obviously one of the reasons for that is when it was a working quarry, the public wouldn't have been allowed in the area. It had been built by fencing and that, and people would have been prevented from accessing it. And the other thing, of course, in those days people didn't have so much interest in industrial archaeology because it was the norm. People didn't take photographs of these type of events, but it'd be wonderful to see what that chute looked like when it was working back, well, possibly in the 1930s or prior to that. Now, I've just been debating about what that is. We think it's a gypsum mine. It goes underground because if you look through the windows, and I don't want to film through the windows because obviously privacy and all that type of thing, it looks like a bakery, but instead of dough on the baking trays, it's full of white product, very large white product, and I think that's gypsum, which is used in the building industry, isn't it, for boards? Is it dry lining? I don't know anything about building, something to do with dry lining and boards and stuff they use in new builds. I think there's some rails on the beach there. I think I can just make out some of there. So that's going to be our next destination here on West Country Wandering. So we're going to retrace our steps back to the car, Porthoustock, and drive around to Porthallow. So we've now come round to the little hamlet of Porthallow, and I must admit, before I was looking into this today, I never even heard of Porthallow. Having lived in Cornwall for over 25 years, it's not somewhere I've actually come across before, and certainly not visited it, but it's a beautiful little spot, if a little tricky to find navigating the lanes, because it's not very well signposted at all. And you do really need to use the OS maps, because Google Maps, I'm afraid, or SatNav will not help you in the slightest to find this location, but it's wonderful just to seek out this here. Now, one of the things I didn't explain earlier on in the video is that the southwest coastal path, remember I said it's a remote section there between Porthallow and Porthoustock, Porthallow, where we are at the moment. It's because the southwest coast path has been moved inland. It actually follows part of a road and it crosses a field. And the reason it does that is because of the former quarrying in the St Keverne area has made the cliff faces and the coast very, very unstable in that area. And for that reason, I really don't suggest that you walk back along this way towards Porthoustock, but the way we came inland following the southwest coastal path, because it is very, very treacherous. Where that factory is, the gypsum factory there, you can walk up a little bit up towards the quarry, but then you can't get any further. Please don't try, because it is very, very dangerous. So a little bonus for you on this video here. On the Lizard, well, actually I've moved inland. I'm actually on the Helston steam railway. This is the most southerly heritage line in the entire United Kingdom. It runs just outside the town of Helston. In fact, my daughter was involved in the early stages. She's actually a shareholder in the Helston steam railway. And we've come to a location called Truffle Holt. There's Truffle Manor just down the road here, and this halt was actually opened in GWR days to serve the servants that worked at the large house just up the road. Amazing just to think of that. You had one station there to serve the people that worked in one house. Amazing. But this has been completely restored here. It's a beautiful pagoda-like shelter here. There plans obviously to reopen the entire line. They have started clearing in that direction, which is Helston in that direction, and it goes in that direction to a place called Gwinear Road, where the line once linked up to the main line between Penzance and Paddington. That's in the direction of Helston. The town of Helston's just over there. After it leaves this site, it then goes over the Cober Viaduct, which is, or sometimes known as the Lower Town Viaduct. It goes over the River Cober on a huge curve at great height. It's in beautiful condition, that viaduct, but it's very, very difficult to photograph because of the location of it, and very difficult to stop there. But that is the aim of it, to take it into Helston, actually just outside the town, into the area close to the Tregonigi industrial estate. And there's the pagoda shelter, looking like it did once in its chocolate and cream GWR colours. Beautiful little lamp down there as well, and that wonderful truffle halt sign. That looks absolutely magnificent, with the trimmed shrubbery beside the fence there as well, looking magnificent. I don't think they've run many trains here because it's looking a little bit rusty, the line here at the moment, but they will be running trains again very soon. They've got like a signal box there. They've also restored the plate layers hut up there too. Wonderful. Now I've looked all around this area here at Porthallow, and I can't find any remains of the railway line at all that once linked up with all of the quarries at St Keverne, which is over in that direction. In fact, if I just spin the camera around, you can see a couple of people out there. That tip there was where we were earlier on in the video, and I said we were coming over to Porthallow, and that's where we saw that mysterious factory, which we think is extracting gypsum for the building industry. I remember I said that. But yeah, very slippery on the rocks here, so I've been really careful. I hope you have enjoyed today here on West Country Wanderings, doing explorations on the Lizard. I'm afraid I couldn't come up with some more railway content. I have looked at various websites in the past showing some other factors, but it looks like, I'm afraid, that time, wind and erosion has swept those remnants of the former quarrying industry here on the Lizard away forever, which is sad. But hopefully I've managed to bring you just a little hint of what was here, what lies at the heart of the industry that was once here on the Lizard, near the village of St Keverne. That's it for West Country Wanderings today. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Cheers, goodbye.